I've seen the Flash movie. Let's talk about it. Hey everyone, it's David Chen. I talk about movies, TV, tech, and the media. And I have seen the new Flash movie, a movie that James Gunn calls one of the greatest superhero films he's ever seen. So is it? Before I begin, I do want to acknowledge that the star of The Flash, Ezra Miller, has allegedly been on a reign of terror around the world. And if you do not think it is morally defensible to pay any money to see it, that's completely fine. More power to you. Everyone needs to make their own decision on this matter. I saw this movie for free at a press screening. I'm going to tell you what I thought of it, and I will be revealing details from the trailer in this review. When I saw The Flash in a packed theater, I would describe it as a crowd-pleasing movie. The people in my theater seemed to really love it. There was tons of laughter, tons of cheering, a lot of recognition at some of the Easter eggs that were put into the movie. The Flash tells a fairly simple story. It's about the Flash, aka Barry Allen, the character played by Ezra Miller, discovering that he can go back in time and prevent one of the defining events of his entire life, which is the murder of his mother, Nora. So he goes back in time, he prevents the death of his mom, but before he can get back to the present, he's knocked out of the time stream and encounters his past self, and he realizes he has changed a lot more than he bargained for.
I created a world with no metahumans, and now there's no one to defend us.
There's some really cool stuff about how they deal with this plotline. Miller plays a dual role as Barry Allen and Barry Allen's past self, and they have a really funny rapport, and it also invites you to think about, hey, if you could encounter your past self or a different version of your past self, what would you say to them? How would you interact with them? How would you be disappointed by them and frustrated by them? These are all questions that the movie raises. Fundamentally, the movie delivers on its central premise. It asks the question, if you could go back in time and change things, should you? By the end of the movie, you have a pretty satisfying answer for that. But let's talk about one of the big reasons why people will watch this movie, one of the things that's been advertised in all the trailers and commercials, and that is the return of Michael Keaton to the role of Batman. The movie does explain why he is back as Batman. There's some multiverse stuff. You can decide if you find it satisfying or not. I think it's fine. And I will confess that for me, a huge fan of Michael Keaton's version of Batman, it's a thrill to see that actor back in that role. They went all out for his return as Batman. They have all the Batman suits, they have the Batmobile, they have the Batwing. They even used Danny Elfman's classic theme, a theme that I learned to play on piano. So it's just inherently cool to see him back on screen. But did they do anything interesting with that character? I don't think so. There is no real reason why this particular version of Batman needs to be in this movie. A big theme of this movie is loss and dealing with that loss, and obviously both Barry Allen and Bruce Wayne have loss in their lives and trauma that they need to get over and cope with. But all of that stuff could also be fulfilled by Ben Affleck's version of Batman. Like, there's nothing about Michael Keaton's version of Batman that makes it essential to this story. So it really feels like they just brought him back for fan service. It really feels like they just brought him back so, like, fans like myself could be like, oh, hey, look, it's Michael Keaton's Batman. And that's it. And if that is exciting to you, great. But for me, I was looking for a little bit more than just, hey, it's the guy you remember. All that said, Michael Keaton does kick ass as Batman. It's awesome to see him in the role. But there's just really no story-driven reason for him to be there, in my opinion. Now that I think about it, a lot of this movie is Easter eggs. It's like, hey, remember this thing that you saw from before? Remember Man of Steel? Remember Kara Zor-El? The movie relies heavily on a lot of stuff that's happened in the past for you to enjoy it. So if you do have that knowledge, and if you are watching it from that perspective, hey, some of this stuff can be pretty delightful. But if you're looking for a nice self-contained movie, it's a little more iffy on that front. The one other thing I need to mention about this movie are the visual effects. In the entertainment industry right now, we're in the middle of a visual effects crisis. There is more visual effects that need to be created than there are people to sustainably do it. So any comments I say are not a reflection on the talented artists that worked on this movie. But some of the visual effects of this movie are amazing, and some of the visual effects are the worst I've seen in a big budget blockbuster in a long time. When the Flash is doing his thing and running super fast, I think all that stuff is great. But there's a lot of times when there are characters that look literally like they are from a PlayStation 3 video game. A lot of the CG just looks unfinished, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I think they nail enough of the big moments that it's okay for general audiences. Just know that, like, a lot of it is pretty rough. So at the end of the day, is this one of the greatest superhero films ever made? I don't know. I don't think so. It tells a very solid, heartwarming, even moving story that's straight down the middle. If you're a DC fan, there's going to be a lot of Easter eggs that you'll be happy with. But if I had to guess, I think this is the last time we're going to see this version of this character. There's just too much baggage from the old DC universe, from the movie Star, that I think this movie's going to have to make probably over $1 billion for them to continue with this story. And if there's one thing I learned from this movie, it's that The Flash shouldn't try to fight fate. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you thought of The Flash in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, I'm David Chen. Feel free to give me a like, subscribe, follow, etc. See you in the next one.